should have walked out the moment she said it. Back already? That's what the receptionist told me when I stepped inside for the first time. I remember pausing mid-step, thinking I'd misheard her. The lobby was quiet, almost too quiet for a weekday morning. Soft lighting, clean floors, the kind of place designed to feel calm, but somehow making you more aware of your own movements. "I think you've got the wrong person," I said, giving a polite smile. "It's my first day." She looked at me for a second longer than normal. Not confused, not embarrassed, just steady. Then she smiled again, the exact same way. "Right," she said gently. "Of course." I told myself it was nothing, a simple mistake. Maybe she mixed me up with someone else. People do that sometimes. I signed in, took the visitor badge they handed me, though even that felt strange, like it had already been printed, and headed toward the elevators. I didn't leave. The office floor felt familiar. That's the only word I can use even now. Not in a comforting way, more like walking into a place you've seen in a dream but can't quite place. As soon as the elevator doors opened, conversations shifted. Not stopped, just softened, like people had lowered their voices without meaning to. A few heads turned. Someone smiled. Someone else raised a hand in a casual wave, like we'd crossed paths 100 times before. Finally, I heard a man say under his breath. I glanced behind me. No one there. A woman approached me, calm, composed, the kind of person who seemed like she'd been holding everything together for a long time. "You look better," she said. I blinked. "Sorry." She hesitated, just slightly, like she was adjusting to something. "Never mind," she said, then added with a small, tired smile, "Your desk is the same as always." That phrase stayed with me. The same as always. My desk had my name on it. Not a paper label, not something temporary. A small metal plate, fixed into the wood. Daniel Farouk. I ran my thumb across it without thinking. The edges were smooth, worn down just enough to suggest it had been there for a while. "How long has this been here?" I asked. The woman, Sana, I would later learn, watched me carefully. "Since you started," she said. "Today?" There was a pause. Not long, just enough to feel deliberate. "Yeah," she said. "Today." I sat down, trying to ignore the growing sense that something wasn't lining up. The computer was already on, logged in, my name in the corner of the screen. Files everywhere, organized, categorized, dated. Years worth of work. I clicked through them slowly at first, then faster, searching for something that would prove it was all a setup. There was nothing. The writing sounded like me, not just similar, specific. The way I phrase things, the shortcuts I take, even small habits I didn't realize I had until I saw them repeated over and over again. Emails I didn't remember sending, conversations I didn't remember having, decisions made under my name. I leaned back in the chair, staring at the screen. This wasn't a prank. It was too detailed, too consistent. "You're doing it again." I looked up. The man from earlier was standing beside my desk, arms crossed. "Doing what?" "Acting like you don't recognize any of this." "I don't," I said. "Because I don't." He studied my face, really studied it, like he was looking for cracks. "You've said that before," he said quietly. "When?" He exhaled, shaking his head slightly. "Doesn't matter," he muttered. Then after a pause, "Just don't stay late tonight." Something in his tone made me sit up straighter. "Why not?" He forced a smile, but it didn't sit right. "Because you never listen when we tell you to go home early." The rest of the day passed, but I wasn't really present for it. Everything felt slightly out of sync. People spoke to me like we had history. They referenced past projects, old conversations, shared frustrations. I nodded along when I had to, but inside I was scrambling, trying to catch up to a version of my life I didn't remember living. No one seemed confused by my confusion. That was the worst part. They expected it. Like this wasn't the first time I'd sat there asking the same questions. By the time evening came, most of the office had emptied out. Lights dimmed automatically, casting long shadows across the floor. The quiet settled in layers, pressing in from every direction. I should have left. I didn't. I told myself I needed answers, that staying a little longer might help me figure out what was going on. That's how it always starts, I think. You convince yourself there's a logical explanation. You just haven't found it yet. I was alone when I noticed the smell. It wasn't strong. You wouldn't notice it unless everything else was silent. Metallic, faint, stale, the kind of smell that doesn't belong in a clean office. I sat still for a moment, listening. Nothing. Then I stood up. I don't know why I followed it. Maybe curiosity, maybe something else. It led me down a hallway I hadn't used all day, past a break room, toward a storage area with a door slightly ajar. The light inside was off. I pushed it open with 2 fingers. The smell was stronger there. I reached for the switch, hesitated, then turned it on. At first, I didn't understand what I was looking at. My brain tried to fit it into something familiar. A person resting, someone passed out, a reflection maybe. Then everything settled into place at once. He was lying on the floor, face turned slightly to the side, eyes half open, wearing the same clothes I had on, the same shoes, the same watch. My face. I didn't react the way I thought I would. No shouting, no immediate panic, just a slow, heavy stillness, like my body had decided to wait before responding. "No," I said under my breath. It didn't sound convincing, even to me. I stepped closer, each movement deliberate, like I was afraid the scene might change if I moved too quickly. Every detail matched. The small scar near my eyebrow, the slight crease in my shirt, even the way the fabric gathered at the wrist. I crouched down before I realized I'd decided to. My hand hovered over his arm. I didn't want to touch it, because touching it would make it real in a way I couldn't undo. But not touching it didn't make it go away. So I pressed my fingers against the fabric, cold, not dramatically so, not unnatural, just. I pulled my hand back slowly, my breathing shallow, empty. "This isn't real," I said more firmly this time. This is stress. I'm tired, that's all." A sound echoed behind me. Footsteps, measured, unhurried. I turned. Sana stood in the doorway. She didn't look surprised. She didn't even look alarmed, just tired. "You found it again," she said. I couldn't process the sentence. "Again?" I repeated. She stepped inside, glancing down at the body like it was something she'd already seen too many times. "How many times has this happened?" I asked. She didn't answer immediately. Then, quietly, "Enough. That's not an answer. It's the only one I can give you." The room felt smaller suddenly, the air heavier. "What is this?" I asked. "What is going on?" She leaned against the wall, arms folded like she was bracing herself. "You always ask that," she said. "Of course I do," I snapped. "Look at him. That's me." "I know." "How do you know?" She met my eyes. "Because we've been through this before." Something shifted in my chest then. Not panic, something colder. "If this has happened before," I said slowly. "What happens next?" She hesitated. "You go home," she said. "And tomorrow, you come back. And him," her eyes flicked to the body. "He won't be here." I didn't believe her, but I didn't have anything stronger to hold on to, so I left. I didn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that room, that still face, the way it looked like me but wasn't me anymore. I kept telling myself there had to be an explanation, something rational, something I was missing. By morning, I hadn't found one. Still, I went back. "Back already?" The receptionist smiled the same way she had the day before, like nothing had changed, like nothing ever changed. I went straight to the storage room. The door was closed. I opened it. Empty. No smell. No body. Just shelves, boxes, silence. I stepped inside slowly, scanning the floor. That's when I saw it. A faint outline in the dust. Subtle, easy to miss. But it was there. The shape of where something had been lying, where someone had been. That's when it stopped feeling like confusion and started feeling like repetition. It didn't stop. That's the part I need you to understand. It didn't stop. Every night, if I stayed late, I'd find him. Sometimes in a storage room, sometimes in a conference area. Once in the hallway just outside the elevator. Always the same. Always me. Always gone. I started leaving early, packing up before the lights dimmed, avoiding empty corridors. But it didn't matter, because sometimes I'd find him in the morning, before anyone else arrived, waiting, like something I was meant to see. The others never reacted the way I did. They didn't panic. They didn't call anyone. They adjusted, quietly, carefully, like people who had learned to live around something they couldn't change. "You should stop looking," Sana told me one afternoon. "I can't." "You can," she said. "You just don't want to." I shook my head. "I need to understand this." She watched me for a long moment, then said, very softly, "That's what you always say." I tried to stay away. I really did, but something kept pulling me back. Not curiosity, something closer to obligation. Like I was supposed to find him, like it wouldn't count if I didn't. The night everything changed. I wasn't supposed to be there. I'd already left. Halfway home, I realized I'd forgotten my phone. I told myself I'd be in and out. 5 minutes, that's all. The building was darker than usual. Quieter. My footsteps echoed more than I remembered. As I moved down the main corridor, I heard voices, low, urgent. I slowed down. Then I saw them. 3 of my coworkers, standing in a loose circle, looking down at something on the floor. "We can't keep doing this," one of them whispered. "What choice do we have?" another replied. "He's getting worse." "I know." I stepped forward before I could stop myself. They turned. For a brief second, they looked caught, not surprised, not shocked, just exposed. Don't, Sana said, stepping toward me. But I had already seen. It was me, again. But this time, something was different. There were marks on his wrists, deep enough to notice without looking closely. Faint discoloration around his neck. Not graphic, just wrong. I felt something sink inside me, a realization forming, slow and heavy. What happened to him? I asked. No one answered. I looked at them, really looked this time, at the way they avoided my eyes, at the tension in their shoulders, at the silence they were choosing. Then I looked down at my own hands, turned them over, checked my wrists, clean, unmarked, and that's when the thought came. Not loud, not sudden, just certain. Every version of me they found had tried to leave. I swallowed. Did I do this? I asked quietly. No one said yes. No one said no. Sana stepped closer, her voice barely above a whisper. You always think you're going to figure it out. I looked at her. And I don't? She shook her head. Not in time. I looked down at the body again, at the stillness, at the marks, at the version of me that hadn't made it past something I couldn't yet see. Then I looked around the office, at the people who stayed, at the routines that never broke, at the quiet acceptance in every corner. And something settled in me, something I wish I could ignore. Tomorrow morning, I'll walk in again. They'll greet me like they always do, like I've always been there, like I never left. And somewhere inside that building, there will already be another version of me, waiting for me to find him.